All right, time for another recap. So I started out with this table, which was obviously in partnership with the chair. So I tried to add some moss to it, some stone texture, basically just like the chair. It was really simple. Still couldn't really bake anything, but that's all right. It worked out okay. I used more of these this time, trying to get the texture on the legs the way that I wanted without having to go around in circles. Um, so I was trying new things with that. And then I started to work on the lamp. The lamp was a little bit more difficult for me because I put over here, you can see that even though I split it into multiple textures um, on Maya, it turned out to just be one texture here, most likely because it was all just one object. And I tried to select multiple faces and put different textures on the faces, but it didn't really work out as I wanted. So what I had to do was put the metal brush fill right here, and then with the brush texture I used this baked light material to try to make this light on the lamp a little bit of a different texture than the rest of it. But since it was a paint layer, it turned out to only make it so it was a yellow version of the same texture, which I guess I should have realized. But it kind of worked, I think. And then I wanted to mess around with these brushes here, so I just cracked the glass here to kind of try to give it more of a glass looking texture. Um, so this one is the one that I think didn't turn out as great, which is funny because when I was doing the other stuff, it was one of my favorite ones to work with. But just because of these textures, it made it a little bit more difficult. Perhaps I'll go back and try to separate this out a little bit better into different objects, and maybe that'll help. But for the sake of the challenge and for the sake of time, this is what I got for now. And then the last one was this sword. Um, this one was fun to make. Basically, all that I had to do, so I was able to separate the textures out a little bit better than the lamp was. This one was kind of weird though. Honestly, I have no idea what um, pieces these are. I changed them to a gravel texture to see if I could figure out where they went, but I still don't know. So that's fun. But then this one, um, I made the what is it called? The brushed metal texture here, and then the other one was the sand blasted metal, I think is what it's called. Um, so all of it's shiny, but it's a little bit of a different texture from here to some of the other pieces, just to kind of split it apart and make it so that it looks like it's made out of different materials. Um, Although honestly, I could change this part to a different material if I. But what I did in Maya was I only made two different things here, so that put these together for sake of ease. But that was probably not the greatest plan. I could have made them all different textures, and that would have been more interesting. But this one, I wanted to focus on making these designs that are on the sword. So I tried to find a good brush. This was the best one I found that could do that. I wasn't really sure how to get the height how I wanted here as well. Uh, but I think it turned out okay just for the designs. Um, Obviously, it's not perfect, but that's okay. Um, I liked how it turned out. I think this one was probably one of my favorites because I spent the most time on it and figured out which textures I wanted based on the actual materials. So yeah, that's those are all three of my projects for the challenge. The end.